over there on TikTok, there's a lot of discussion, right? A lot of discussion took place about, and probably still taking place. I need to kind of browse through TikTok. I haven't today, but Juneteenth is a big topic amongst other hot topics over there on TikTok. Listen, I think that holidays should be celebrated in context. Holidays should be celebrated in context. And if you're not celebrating the holiday in context and you're at that particular holiday celebration, or, during that holiday celebration, and you're doing something totally different and trying to take that title or the name of that holiday and just flip it all around, do what you want to do, that's disrespectful, right? Holidays should be celebrated in context. At least here in America, that's what typically goes on. If they're going to be celebrated at all, they're celebrated in context. With that said, Social Nurse here. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Listen, I really do. What I've come to understand is that racially Black immigrants, and that I'm talking about people that are an immigrant, maybe their parents are an immigrant, or maybe their grandparents are or were immigrants. Those racially Black people are what I'm talking about. They typically come from places like continental African places or Caribbean nations, or I've even met them from by way of the United Kingdom. They go to the United Kingdom from their previous colonialized, racially Black nation, and now they're in the United States. A lot of these people just jump from country to country, right? Because at one time, immigration wasn't as unwelcoming, and this is happening in Europe as well, right? With that said, we understand that people have different lenses. But just because you have a different lens doesn't mean you should disregard other people or try to shade another lens by putting your lens on it or into it or right on top of it or push an existing lens to the side, right? It just kind of is what it is. And what I've learned to do is treat racially Black immigrants as an individual, right? And I'm not a Pan-Africanist because I don't think that there is equality in the give and take amongst the groups, right? With that said, I think that Juneteenth and its history and how it, derived from Texas and became incorporated in Black America across this country and then mandated as a federal holiday. I kind of think it was better when it wasn't a federal holiday, but my family's from the South. I've got family members that live in Texas. Paternally, Florida, and maternally, Mississippi, by way of Louisiana, right? So I'm kind of Southern, even though I was not born in the South, right? But, holidays are created because of a specific topic, belief, and occurrence, and they should be celebrated in context. So I'm just going to run off some examples. And for those of you who don't understand, okay, a way to learn about where you are and what's celebrated and how to properly participate. Some people are going to continuously just be mean-spirited and say they don't give a F, right? They're going to do what they want to do. And there you have why some African nations and Caribbean nations are in a state of being that they are in. Now, Black America is far from perfect, right? A lot of things is blamed on Black America that racially Black immigrants are actually doing negatively, right? Right? They'll say a Black person, but a lot of times in New York, that's the flood of black immigrants that are doing some of the crimes, right? And I'm talking about black people because I'm ethically Black American. My people descend from enslaved Africans, right? The founding fathers, which were Europeans, developed this nation, and part of that development was making ethically Black Americans' ancestors build the country from the base, from the ground up, build it for free. And because they expected us to remain slaves forever, there was no sight of us being free. We're still here, and there's sometimes conflict with our government because it didn't end at the Civil War, harsh treatment towards ethically Black Americans. It went on and on and on, even past Jim Crow. With that said, Juneteenth is a proud moment for Black Americans, and we don't expect on our celebration that people are just willfully celebrating their Jamaican heritage. On our celebrations, and sometimes actually within the parades or celebration that's going on, people want to celebrate Nigeria or Nigerian independence or some African nation independence or some Caribbean nations independence from their colonizers, right? That's not what Juneteenth is for, right? So listen, it is what it is. Celebrate a holiday in context if you're going to participate. Because if you're not doing it in context, then you're not celebrating that holiday. And you should call your celebration something else, right? Listen, here in America, because there's so many different people, although there may be disagreeing moments, when a group's holiday is celebrated, it's celebrated in context. So, for example, St. Patrick's Day is associated with the Irish, and it's celebrated in the context of in which the holiday was created, right? At jobs and different buildings of the public, you'll see green all over the place, clovers, a pot of gold, things that celebrate the Irish and St. Patrick, right? The way that it should be celebrated in context. We're going to eat corned beef, right? We're going to just, maybe we're going to understand why there's all kinds of St. Patrick's Day celebration decorations all over the place. And we're not going to say, oh my goodness, I must celebrate Oktoberfest this day, and I'm going to incorporate windmills from the Dutch and the Netherlands and clog dance and put little wooden clog shoes all over the place. I'm going to do this because I want to celebrate my day too, and my heritage and my meanings too on St. Patrick's Day, right? We don't say on Cinco de Mayo, which is very much a Mexican heritage, a Mexican celebration day. We participate in it in its context. Right? Easy to understand. Easy stuff to understand. Some of these racially Black immigrants want to cloud the Black American's lens, the non-immigrant Black American, right? The ethnically Black American. Some people call themselves FBA, ADOS, right? Original Black American. I say ethically Black American because I am not indigenous to the North American land, right? But my people were here when we're talking about the country of the United States. It has its own founding fathers. It became independent from England. My ancestors have been here since then, and we extend through them today, right? So ethically Black American is what I use, right, to describe that. So just a few more examples. If there's a Christmas party, if you celebrate Christmas, it would be out of line for someone to bring in a pumpkin and start having a pumpkin carving contest and also costumes for Halloween within the Christmas celebration. right? It's easy to understand. It's easy to understand. Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King is a great Black American, not an immigrant Black American, right? And his family is not from immigrants, right? But Martin Luther King has a holiday mandated by the federal government. You can celebrate it or not, right? But if you do celebrate it, it should be in context, which would not be to celebrate Paul Bogle of Jamaica or Marcus Garvey, right? They should not be the focus of the celebration. So Juneteenth, the focus of Juneteenth is not the celebration of Nigerian Independence Day, Jamaican or Caribbean decolonization, or whatever you want to call it, right? It is to celebrate that in Texas, enslaved people, they realized that they were free. They got the information late. That celebration has been shared amongst the Black community. And it then became a mandated federal holiday. Celebrate the holiday in context. Why be mean-spirited, evil, and I'm going to do what I want to do? I'm not a Pan-African. So Black immigrants as a whole group mean nothing to me. I'm not against them. I'm not for them. I treat people within racially Black categories as individuals, right? But I think it's just, respect gets respect, right? Respect gets respect, right? So put your thoughts in the comment section, socialers.